Hello and welcome to another video. In this episode, we're going over one of the fundamental mechanics of the game. The same mechanic which the best 1v1 player in the world seems to be really good at. That's right, we're learning the flick. The flick, one of the fundamental mechanics of the game, and a mechanic which actually I have done before. So since I actually have done the flick, it's less about learning it. Now we're going to try to gain some mastery in it. To do this, we're going to start by doing a few basic flicks which you can see on screen right now. So we'll start with the front flip flick. So, oh, that's a big guy there. Let's start with the front flip flick, yeah? There you go, that's a front flip flick. I think it's too high. That's not. Okay, yeah. That's a front flip flick where you dribble the ball and you flick through a front flip. I mean, pretty much what the name says. All of them basically what the name says. Next we have a side flip flick. So something like that. That's a side flip flick. Let's just get the ball to the center. Then we have a diagonal flip with like probably more of a front flip flick. A diagonal flip is basically also just a diagonal flip flick. I'm not exactly satisfied with that. Let's just do another one. There you go. That is a diagonal flip flick. Yeah, that's what I was saying. And other than that, we have the backflip flick, which is looks something like this. That is a backflip flick. You backflip and you pop it high. Alright, so now that we got the basic flicks out of the way, let's devise a training routine for which I can actually master them. So the game plan right now is probably to go into Eversax Olympics because it actually has a specific segment for flicks which you can train. So let's get into it. Alright, so as you can see, if we go to the training segment over here and then we go to flicks, we have a specific flick segment. So I'll just sample how it goes. So if you dribble the ball, just do a little flick. That's a front flip flick, really slow, but you see we get 160. We got 165 meters, and the longer you get, the better. So yeah, we'll just get at this. And basically, the idea is to just drill power flick flips. Like for example, you see that over there. That is a 90 flick, which actually I haven't sampled in free play, but that is also one of the basic flips which we will be doing. That is definitely a better power for flick, but it's only 418 meters. So the goal is to get about 700 meters. Probably not possible without flicks. I have no idea how I'm going to do that, but right now we're averaging 380. If so, we'll just be practicing 90 flicks on this. However, there could be chances for like that, so that's kind of a diagonal flip because we do slightly tilt it to the right back flip. Bang! Is that off thing? That's not. 679. That's pretty good. Oh. Okay, it seems front. That's a terrible, but that's pretty good height right there. It was terrible distance, but pretty good height. We do want to replicate stuff like that. Okay, so now that was more of a front flip slash diagonal flip flick, and yeah, let's just continue. That was an early jump, but again we're getting the height, which is perfect. We jumped early, but we got a lot of height, and then still got 600 on that. We still haven't gotten 700. The height we got was 679. Again, we jumped early, and that's just too late, but we still did 550. So we have to start by getting a good dribble because a clean dribble, which means an easier flick. You see over here, there's less movement, so a bad dribble would look something like this. That would look something like a bad dribble, right? And then, like that's an average flick for a bad dribble. Doesn't count because it went out, but you get the point. But a good dribble would look something like this. Wow, that was so cool. I mean, the fact that I called it out was pretty cool. 684. You see the difference now. Okay, that's some good speed. That's the type of flicks you want to do in game, which is kind of what messed us up. Let's see if I can show it over here. Alright, that was a mix of half speed and half height. It was a pretty decent example, but there you go. So these 90 flicks, they're really useful in power and generating like half height. So probably half height, it's like not too low, but not like that high either. Pretty much like that. That's what I call a half height. So we can get the ball properly. There you go. That's kind of more like full height. It's gonna go out, so not gonna count, but that's kind of what I mean by generating height. That's in the middle. Let's say 0.75, but I would say that's decently high. There you go. That's high. If that's the same as last time, then watch this. Oh my god! Yes! 873! Nah, on the call to that. Let's go, guys. I think that means we beat it. We beat Eversax Olympics, and now we're gonna move on to phase 2 of our. Alrighty. So there were 3 main phases to this plan. Phase number 1, we started by sampling all the basic flicks, which we seem to have been pretty consistent at. After that, we had phase 2 actually, so we're right now moving on to phase 3. But phase 2 of the plan was to go to Eversax and then generate a power flick, which we have successfully just done so. Now phase 3 is to actually learn 2 new flicks which I have never done before in my life. And that would be the delayed flick and the 180 flick. So for a 180 flick is basically when you flip 180 and then you flick it. And then delayed flick is when you just do it like this and then you delay the flick. So they're pretty much what the name says, but they're not easy and I haven't done these before, so let's see how it goes. Start with a 180. Something like that was probably the idea. Let's just look at the replay because that was actually a pretty good attempt, not gonna lie. That wasn't clean though, so like we do get the 180, but oh my god, we're already somewhat getting it. Probably have to do the experience with the 90. That's what a 90 flick is. We've been doing them all the time in Eversax Olympics. It's been really useful. But let's see if we can. Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's off the pole. That was actually a proper 180 flick. I'm pretty sure. That was pretty good. Now for the delay, let's actually go move on to the delayed flick because, oh my god, our 180s have been pretty good. Anyways, for the delayed flick, let's just jump. So that's okay. Wait, was that a 180? Wait. Was that a 180? Chat, chat. That is a 180. Okay, I was trying to show a delayed flick. That's how it works, right? You jump, you hold your flip, and then so like, okay, that was not a 180, but the point was you hold your flip and then you flip last second. Let's just So that was a bad dribble right there, but a good dribble would be something like this. Okay, yeah, that was actually a decent dribble and a decent flick, but we have to hold it longer. Because the point of the delayed flick is actually to fake out defenders, right? So, like they jump, you have to hold it for slightly longer to make it make sense. So we're dribbling it, they're shadowing, we jump, they jump, and then we flick it. So now I missed the flick, but that's the idea of it. That's what we're trying to do. So my idea is that if we're going at the same speed of the ball and when we jump, then our flick would still be the same thing. So what happens when we usually flick is that, see, we speed up and, okay, we didn't get the flick, but we speed up and then we go away from the ball. Or like, we just, like that. We speed up the ball. We don't stay with the speed. Like when we're doing a 45 flick. Okay, that's somewhat of a delayed flick. I was gonna sample a 45 and show an example, but that's kind of a delayed flick, because like look at how we held the jump here. We go to the same speed over here, and that's what I was talking about. Stay with the jump and you can get. Anyways, so we actually have, since we've pulled out the 180 flick and the, oh my, what a flick, and the delayed flick, we're gonna move on to the final test, which is none other than the training pack. We'll get to it and I'll explain more about it in the training pack. Alright, so the final test, it's a training pack. It's called Flicks Mastery and yes, it's made by me. The code will be in the description below. So we have 8 shots over here. Each shot is supposed to represent a different type of flick. This is the 90 flick. Hold up. There you go. And that is a 90 flick. That's what we're going for. We need shots like those. Alright, so this is supposed to be a side flip flick. That's not the catch I was going for. There you go. We catch it like that. It could be a front flip flick too, but it's more focused on side flip flicks. So. There you go. That is the side flip flick. It's just off, but you get the idea. There you go. That's a really bad side flip flip, but it explains the idea. Goes like that, we catch it, and then you flick it to the side. You're supposed to be under the ball to get a powerful flick. Down, this is more of a delayed flick type of thing because you want to jump and pop it. Personally, have not done this before because don't know how to do a delayed flick. Oh, that's kind of the idea. I don't think the idea of it actually is to pop it with the delayed flicks. Something like that. Exactly what I was talking about. And then yeah, you can just score it from there. That's actually part of the plan track. Part of the pack. This could just has to be a powerful flick. So catch it. You can literally do any flick over here. Most preferably, this could be a front flip flick or a 180 or a diagonal flip. It can be any of them. It just has to be a power flick that just goes straight in after a dribble. So the idea of this is just to dribble it for a second and flick it like that. Exactly as shown. So it's just a power flick train. This should be a front flip flick. This is really useful for when you're learning flicks at the start because it teaches you how to get generate power on simple flicks like the front flip flick. This is simply a catch 2. Side flip or diagonal flip flick. Mostly this is supposedly diagonal because hold up. Because like that. Probably too high, yeah. And diagonal flips really just help you hit it. It's like diagonally. Like as seen in the replay over here, you can see we're going straight and we hit it diagonally. Like that's how the flick works. Now this is for the backflip flick. So of all the stuff, this is the backflip one. Gonna pop it high, right much like that, and then you just want to score it from here. That's it. It's that simple. No sweat. So we've gotten the backflip, we got in the diagonal, we got in the side flip, we got in the front flip. What have we left? We also got in the 90. This is another 90 come delayed flick come side flip. It's mostly for 90 because it's supposed to be for tight angles, so it's actually a really hard one because yeah, you wanna flick this and that. To get this angle is not gonna be easy. Something like that. But it's off. No, you're not allowed to follow this, by the way. The rule of this shot is that it has to be straight in after your flick. There you go. We've gotten it. And last we have the 8th shot, the final shot, the final flick. Thank you, Thunder. Alright, that was a pretty good flick. Hold up. We might be slightly laggy. Alright. So, 90 flicks, probably the plan. We want to get a good dribble as we did in Eversax. Just want to pop it. That might be it. That might be it. That is it. A bounce counts, by the way, because I have no idea how to score this without a bounce. That is exactly it. But it was kind of slow, so we could do it again. But all right, now that we've gotten the final shot, the ultimate test to test our power, there's only one thing left. I mean, it would just be too boring if we ended like this. So here's a montage of all my flicks. Alright, well, that is another bitch in a bell. Flicks done. And I'll see you next episode.